Okay, welcome again. I think I'll just need to go through a recap of what we did the last time, what the assignment was. So previously, we we actually started this work, working on the master branch, and then on that master branch, we had this particular stuff. This line, what we have on line one was in the master branch. I think we also had the carnivorous animals too in the master branch, so we had all this in that same master branch. And then we created two branches from the master branch. I think it's actually very important for me to state this here that we created two branches from the master branch at the same time. The first branch was called Feature Herbivorous, and the second branch was called Feature Omnivorous. They had the same history with the master branch at that point in time. So when I write git log for the both of them, let me use the flag one line. When I write git log, we had just this particular guy here, which we can actually check out to this particular stuff to see what's there right now. We'll check out back to the master branch where we are done with this. So if I do git checkout, remember we also demonstrated that we could check out to a commit hash, which is what we are doing here. If I do this, this was what we had. We didn't have the herbivorous inside. So from that master branch, we had this. Now the feature omnivorous branch had the same copy of this, and the feature herbivorous branch had the same copy of this. So we are building two different things. We wanted to add the herbivorous animals to that of the herbivorous branch, and then the one for omnivorous animal into the omnivorous branch. We did that separately, right? Now, the last thing we actually did was to merge from the herbivorous branch into the master branch. And so if we check out back to the master branch here, we see the updates of that particular value. We have this line added here, and our git log, as you can see before, let's see how this works, okay? Git log, we can actually see add herbivorous animals. This was the last commit we have here. Now, the assignment says that we should go into the omnivorous branch. Now, we've made those, I think we've already made those changes in the omnivorous branch. So let me check out into that omnivorous branch first of all. Git checkout. Okay. Yeah, we've made those changes already in the omnivorous branch. Now, the same way we merged our changes from the feature herbivorous branch into the master branch, we want to do the same thing. We want to merge those changes from the feature omnivorous branch into the master branch. So that's where we are right now, right? So I'm going to do something first of
Good,
all.
sir.
Okay, welcome, Joseph. So I'm going to do something first of all. I wanted to start with something else before we complete that assignment. It's not part of the assignment, just an aside, something I think that we can slip into this particular class. So I'm going to check out back to the, or I can do it here. When I do it here, then I move it from this branch to into the master branch. So, but this particular one is not part of the assignment. Now, when you're working on a code, it's possible that you don't want to include some files or some directories or some folder. Um, I can give you reasons why that might not be necessary. So if you're working on Node.js, usually when you do npm install, when you try to install your dependencies, you have this folder called node underscore modules. And inside node underscore modules, you have a lot of files. You know, if you calculate the size of that file, it might be more than 1 gig. You don't want to be pushing stuff like that into your remote repository. Apart from files that are heavy, you don't also want to be pushing the keys of. Oh, I said this. I've taken the light. You don't want to be pushing the keys of your database, your security keys, to a to your remote branch. If I had a database connection and my username was Amobi and my password was Amobi, imagine me pushing it to my GitHub, and my GitHub is public, and then everybody can see what the details to my database is. Everybody can have access to it. So stuff like that, you might keep it in what you call like a .env file, an environment file, and when you have environment files too, you don't push them with your code. It's best for it to be inside your it should be on your local repository, but it's not going to be in your remote. You can actually push it there, but I'm saying it's wrong. It's bad practice for you to do that. So I'm going to create a .env file. I'm just trying to mimic this and then to demonstrate the concept I want to bring out this night. So inside here, I'm going to add a file. I'll call it .env. Let me say inside this env, I have my username and password. Username equals to Amobi and password equal to Amobi. So this is my env file. You can see that it is on track right now. If you run our git status, we are not yet tracking this file because we haven't added it to the staging area. It's still in our working directory. How can I tell Git not to track this file? If I use git add, I don't want it to track this file. There's a feature of Git that we can use to do that, and it's called the git ignore. There's a git ignore file, so whatever file you named here or whatever folder you call there, it's going to actually skip it. It's not going to monitor or track that particular file. So for me to be able to skip this particular file, I don't want to push it to my remote repository, but I just want it to be on my local system. I'm going to create a .git ignore file here. So this git ignore file is going to be pushed into it's going to be added to our staging area, and from our staging area we're going to add it to our repository. But inside this git ignore file, we need to mention files that we don't want to push. So I can say I don't want to push the .env file, and I save this. Now if you look at the .env file, you can see that the U went away from there. You just have the U on the git ignore file, you don't have it on the .env file. So let me try git status and see what we have here. We only have one file that is on track, which is git ignore file, but you can see that we don't actually have, like, it's not tracking the .env file, which is what we are meant to do. Now somebody might download since we don't have documentation here, somebody might download my code and doesn't know that, oh, there's a .env file that is needed to run with my code. I'm just making some assumptions here. How can I kind of like give a clue on what the person needs to do? So in most people's code, you see something like this. You see something like sample.env. This is not the main env file, it's just a sample, and it's going to have stuff like this username and password without the values. So we can do something like this. I'll make it empty and I'll make it empty. So when somebody pulls my code, he's not going to see .env file, but he's going to see a sample.env, and then he should be able to like recreate that and rename it to .env. I think this is kind of a lot. I'm supposed to have like a readme file that gives the instruction of this, but I haven't actually introduced that to us yet. But inside my documentation or readme file, we'll have like description on how to set up our project. So inside that readme file, I'm going to say copy the sample.env, duplicate it, rename it to .env file, and update the values to your own value. So you don't need to use Amobi as username and password. You actually use the one that your system is going to work with. Whatever you've set it up with, you can use that particular one. In fact, You wouldn't even know that my username is Amobi and my password is Amobi, because it's not going to be pushed to the code to the code base, to the repository at all. So a key takeaway from here is that we, in a real project, even in the project that we'll be working on, for everything we do, we will need to document what we are doing. Most especially, you need to tell someone how to set up a project without your intervention. Somebody should be able to go to your code base, look at the instructions you've written, and be able to start that project without the person needing to call you to say, oh, I need to do this or that. You need to explain every step, as simple as ABC. Every step you use in setting up a project, every step you use in running your project, you need to state it here. But we are not going to deal with that in this particular class here. So I've set up my git ignore file now. It's ignored the .env file. What about if I had a folder and I wanted to ignore the folder? I'm just going to, nothing's going to be inside this folder. I'm just going to write these node modules here. And I want to ignore everything inside this folder. So what I can do here is to come to the .git ignore, move to the next line, and just write that particular folder. Before I write that folder, let me just show git status and see what we have. Git status. So okay, we don't have any file inside here. I'm going to add a file into this. I'm just going to call it random.txt. Please, if I'm moving too fast, let me know. If it needs me to recap something, just tell me so I can go back. Is this okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to run git status now. You can see that is on track. The random file here, random.txt is on track. So if I do the git status, I'm going to see that I have git ignore, I have node underscore modules, and I have sample.env. Let me add another thing into this particular file so that we have more stuff here. Let me call this random2.txt. So we have those two files here, and it's just the git and the node underscore modules folder that we have here, right? So when I go to this git ignore file, what I can do here is to come to the next line. I'll write node underscore modules. I think this should work. And then you can see that it's not on track again. It's not even monitoring this particular directory at all. It's not monitoring the directory. It's not monitoring whatever stuff is inside it. Even if I have another folder inside that node underscore modules, it's not going to monitor it. So if I run the git status again, you can see that it's not there. It's that folder is not going to be tracked at all by our git. So this is how we tell git that this particular folder, we are not tracking it. We just want it on our local system, on our local repo, but it's not even in our local repo per se. It's in our system. But when we try to push this code to the remote repository, you will not see it. You won't see it at all because git is not going to monitor it. It's not in the git repository itself. So what I can actually do right now is to add this particular stuff. I'm going to add everything I have here. It's going to just add this git ignore and this sample.env file. So I'm going to do the git add dot again. I'm adding it to the staging area. Now the next thing I can do is to write our commit message. And our commit message, I'm going to say add a sample.env and a git ignore file, and I'm going to hit enter, and then those we have those two already there. So we've committed this. If we have our git log, we can see our update here. This is our update right here. Someone's going to say something.
I don't think so, bro. Brian stepped in and stepped out.
Okay. So back to what we were doing. Now I want to merge this particular branch. I want to take everything that we have from here and put it into our master branch. So what's the first thing I'm going to need to do? Who can help me with the first thing I will need to do to be able to merge this feature omnivorous branch into the master branch? What's the first step? Who can help us? Who can help us? Just try.
Check out.
Okay.
I have not gone through, but I want to suggest push.
No, we're not pushing. We actually want to put this particular change into the master branch.
We'll check whether we'll first check the branch that we're in.
We'll first check it. When you say we'll first check it, what do you mean by that?
Like we'll do git checkout, then master.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's what we need to do. We need to, it's not to check, it's to check out. We need to check out into the master branch. If I want to put a change into a particular branch, I need to be inside that branch itself before I move that change into that branch. So the first step is to make sure that I'm on that particular branch. So if I run git branch right now, I'll still see that I'm on the feature omnivorous branch. If I run git branch, it has the asterisk. So I need to check out into the master branch, and then I can continue working from there. I can do a git check out master, and then we are going to see that this sample.env and our git ignore file will just disappear. So we don't have those changes again, and then these are our files are now being in the untracked session. So we've gotten the first step, right? Thanks to Brother Joseph. We've gotten the first step. So what's the next step of what do we need to do next? What's the next command we need to run to bring those changes from feature omnivorous branch into the master branch? We've checked out into the master branch. We are currently now into the master branch because it says switch branch to master. If I run git branch, I'll see that the asterisk is on the master branch. So what's the next thing we need to do?
Edge.
Yes, we need to now merge. So our command is going to be git merge, the name of the branch we want to take those changes from, to our master branch. So git merge feature omnivorous. Now this is the part I wanted people to do the assignment because there's going to be a problem when we do this. The problem is that line 11 to line 14 has a different content from on the master branch than what we have from line 11 to line 14 on the omnivorous branch. So when I do this git merge, I'm going to face a problem and I will need to make a decision. So let me just do this so we see what's going on. Now, if you look at what we have here, it says auto merge info.txt and it says merge conflict in info.txt. So we have what we call a merge conflict. This is the first of many merge conflicts we are going to see in our lifetime. For some of us, we've seen a lot of them already. It says automatic merge failed, fix conflicts, and then commit the result. So if you look at this part of the file is okay. All this part is okay, it's good. But if you look at what we have here, it says on the head, which is what we have on the master branch, from line 12 to line 15 has this herbivorous animals, goats, sheep, cow. But then, what is coming in from the omnivorous branch, this is the incoming change, has something else in that same line. And VS Code is trying to give us, like it's suggesting to us, what do we want to do? Do we want to accept the current change? Do we want to leave what we have on the master branch? Do we want to accept what is coming in? Do we want to accept both, or do we want to make maybe some slight kind of change? Someone's saying something. Hello, I'm hearing someone's keyboard.
Yeah, bro, Brian just joined us. I don't think he has muted yet, but he will mute with time.
I'm trying to mute my mic.
Oh, okay.
Evening.
Hello, good evening.
You know that place where they mute mic. It's my phone self. Okay. Sorry,
No problem.
I
No
just
problem.
called you.
So, based on what we have here, there's no single like solution to the problem. It depends on what you're working on as a developer. If you feel like, oh, I'll need more of the changes from the omnivorous branch, I'll accept the incoming change. If I feel like I'll need the one from the current branch, I'll just accept the one that's currently there. If I feel like I need both changes, then I'll accept both. And then if I feel like, oh, I'll need a little bit from here, I don't need this one, maybe I will need to remove this one, this particular one, the second place too, I probably need to remove this part and put this part, then I'll make those changes too. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to accept both changes. I need both of them. Using VS Code, I can just click and accept both. Or I can just remove all these funny symbols here. So this is me accepting both. Now, I can then do a git add to add this to my staging area and then commit this saying that I just fixed a merge conflict. So the next thing for me to do here is to do git add dot as usual. So you can see that we had like an exclamation mark on this info.txt to say that there was a conflict there before, but right now we have the M symbol, right? So that has actually been resolved. Now if you check git status, we will have changes to be committed. We just have these 3 changes to be committed, all conflict fixed, but you are still merging. Use git commit to conclude your merge. So I still need to use git commit. We just added it to the staging area. So once I do a git commit minus M, I can then write here fix merge conflict, fix merge conflict, and voila. And then we are fine with that. If we do a git log this time around now, let me just run a git log. You can see our new commit here. So we actually added this file to our omnivorous. This is where we are supposed to stop, but we have an extra commit where we try to fix that conflict. So I just wanted to introduce us to the concept of conflicts because once you start working with a lot of people, I didn't save this. So once you start working with a lot of people, you're going to have like this kind of conflicts. Somebody might change something in a particular file, and then you've already made a change in that file to on your system. Now, as a team, you guys need to come together to resolve which of the changes are you going to push to the repository. Are you going to be the one to update the change, or you're going to take the one that your team members already used? Let me git add this again. I didn't actually save that time. Forgive my comment message here. Okay, so as a team, you guys will now need to decide this is the best approach to actually go. Either we are going to scrap what you've done, or we'll take what you've done now. But as far as our code is working, we take what you've done, probably we'll let go of what we had previously there. So that's it. I don't know if there are any questions. Anything that someone does not understand, something that we need to go through. If not, that will be all for today.
Question plenty
Sorry,
for myself.
No,
Someone speaking.
if you go, I'm coming.
okay. Okay, bro, Brian, go ahead.
Okay, I have a lot of things are not clear. The only reason why I decided not to stress it too much now is because I just want to focus on this JS part that I'm on right now. I don't want to scatter my head, because if I divide now to start to focus on JIT again, because I know I learned the basics of JIT that time when we started.
Okay.
So, but honestly, like a lot of that JIT ignore, like I don't yet know what JIT ignore is for. You get, and you just mentioned something about conflicts.
Okay.
I've not heard that one before in JIT.
Okay.
You get. So, but I don't want to stress it too much. Actually, it's something I would probably at least when somebody starts, when I start working with people, and maybe probably I'll learn those kind of things on. You get, by experience.
Oh,
But at least the
it's
basics,
nice to ask the question in here. Although, you know, I already covered this in the beginning of this class. Maybe you joined late.
Okay.
I can just do a
Okay.
quick recap.
Okay, I was asking something last week. The issue I was having with the assignments, like when I check out back to my master branch, my VS Code did not follow suit. Because when I was watching the video, I saw that anytime you check out to a branch, your VS Code changes to, you get, like the code. Do you get what I mean?
I understand what you mean, but I wanted to see.
Yeah, the code in the file changes to what is in that branch. That's how it's supposed to be, right?
So when you start, you know you have the master branch. I created I created two separate branches at the same time. Two separate branches.
Yeah.
Omnivorous and herbivorous.
Yeah.
Omnivorous, herbivorous, and master all had the same thing at that same point. When I checked out to those two branches, they all had the same thing.
Wait, when you created omnivorous and herbivorous, those two branches are empty, is it not?
No, they won't be empty. They will have the same content from what is in the master branch.
So what you committed in the master branch,
yes,
is going to be in the omnivorous and herbivorous.
Exactly.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I don't.
Did you get that?
Okay, I'm just getting that now.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's where I actually started this class from, because I saw that in your own code. And my guess was that somewhere along the line that did not really happen. Probably you skipped a step or something like that.
Yeah, I think I did because at the end of the whole assignment, like mine was it was not the same, but I just said I should not stress it. I should just submit it like that. Whatever issue you correct me on it.
Okay. So what I did was when we created those two branches, we had the same history on the three of them. Now we left the master branch alone. We
Yeah.
moved into the herbivorous branch and we added those herbivorous animals and we
Yes.
committed our
And we committed.
code. Yes. We then moved into the omnivorous branch. The omnivorous branch
Okay.
does not
Before you
have
go into me,
the
please,
yes.
before you go into omnivorous now, at that point you committed those herbivorous animals that you added.
Yes.
Those new updates, is it going to all the branches?
No. Just the herbivorous branch. So herbivorous branch is now
Okay, because
different
it's not the
from
master. Okay,
yes.
but it's going to the master.
It's not in the master yet. The master and the
Okay.
omnivorous branch have the same history at this particular point in time. From where
Okay,
we
okay,
are.
I'm getting to understand. Okay, I'm getting to understand. So if it was a team of people working,
Yes.
at that point when they created those branches, everybody will have their own copy in all the
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so when they continue working, it doesn't go to the master yet
Yes.
until when. Oh, okay, makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the person working on the omnivorous branch went into his own branch and added the omnivorous animals and committed those changes to the omnivorous branch. Now the three branches
Different
have different stuff on them. The three
stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So to put the changes from the herbivorous into the master branch, we checked out into the master branch and we then merged our history from the herbivorous branch to the master branch, making the master branch have those herbivorous animals.
Yeah, that's the merging part.
Yes.
Merging where you check out to the master branch.
Exactly.
Then you merge. Okay, yeah, I did that. The only thing was after I merged, I think one of them, is omnivorous that didn't merge, that didn't work out. It was only one that was merged successfully.
Okay.
Even anyhow, well, it makes sense now. Actually, it makes sense.
Okay. So even the
Makes
part
sense.
where we talked about the conflict was why we had the conflict was because in the herbivorous branch from line 11 to line 14 had this. Why in the omnivorous branch from line 11 to line 14 also had this. So they had from 11 to 14 was occupied on both branches but have different contents. And
I don't understand.
so when we worked on the herbivorous branch, we had this particular stuff. From line 11 had herbivorous animals,
from 11
goats, sheep, and
Yeah,
cow. Now in the omnivorous branch, line 11 actually had omnivorous animals. Line 12
Yeah.
had human. Line 13 had bears, and line 14 had fish. Do you
Okay.
get? Now when we wanted to
So
now
okay, when they merge, to conflict, is that what conflict?
exactly, that's where the conflict
Okay.
arise because they
Okay.
both the same lines have different contents. Now
same
which
line.
one are we going to which one will override the other one?
It's true. That will happen a lot.
Yes,
In the
it's,
case,
you're going to face it a lot, a whole lot.
Every time, sir, because everybody will write according to their own ID, their own listen.
Yes, so we need to know how to solve these merge conflicts because this is actually easy, but when you're working on something that had like 1,000 lines of code, it's going to be more difficult.
Okay.
Yes, so that's where the
So how
merge
do you
conflict
solve
are.
it?
You actually have to come to your code, like what we just did now. We know that we need the both of them in this case, and so we added that line down here. That was the last thing I was actually doing in this particular video before I asked the question.
Okay. What did you do? You added which line?
Let me try to do Control Z. So it was showing something like this. This was
Okay.
what we had, and it's like this is the merge conflict. What do we want to do? Do you want to accept the current change, incoming change, accept both changes, or compare the changes? So what I actually did, I can click any of these, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to edit it manually. I deleted this funny symbol on line 10 first of all, that I don't want this, I don't want this, and I don't want this there. So I've included both changes from the two files. If I don't need this part, I can just remove these ones alone. But I need those ones, so I'm
Okay.
leaving them. If I didn't need this part, I can remove these ones. But I still need them, so I left them. It depends on your use case. So I stated that there is no one exact thing that you can use to fix it. But the developers know what they are working on. They know the code that is going to work. So when they see the merge conflict, they know the part that they are going to remove and the part that they are going to leave to make the stuff work. They just need to just figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was the command that brought the green and the blue color while they see for your this?
The command that brought that particular color, when you just do the git merge and there's a conflict, you will see that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you will see it. Yes. If there's no conflict, you will not see it. So the other times we did the git merge, there was no conflict, so we were fine. But this time around there was a conflict.
Okay. So, just one quick question.
Okay.
At what point does your code actually does it get into the branch? Is it when you're adding or when you commit?
When there are this I'm going to give two answers here. Number one, when you do a git commit, it gets into that particular branch you are on, the current branch you are working on. When you do a git commit, it gets into that branch.
Okay.
Number two, if you want to take a change from one branch into another branch, when you do a git merge, it gets into that branch too. So that's why I said two answers.
No, I was asking about adding and commits, but you said it's commits and majorly.
Yeah, you do commit. You first of all do a git add before you do a git commit. You can't just commit first of all.
Yeah.
The git add will take place before you do the git commit.
Okay. So it's okay. Anyhow, sure. So it's commits that it goes into the branch now.
Yes. Git add takes it from this place that we are working on into what we call the staging area. Now, git commit takes it from that staging area into our git repository. It's, for a lack of better word, it commits our changes to the repository.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. So, any other question?
I have one question.
Okay.
The conflict. How did you solve the conflict? Did it just show you that you were having conflict? Then you just proceed. You just continued with the committee. Proceed. Did you just continue for the conflict there? Code or so to do that conflict on.
So when we had you understand why we had the conflict, right?
No, I just explained now. You said I same in another branch, the same line.
I can't really even hear you. Okay, but I think I get what you're saying, and I'll go over this.
Can you hear me?
I'll go over this again because it's what I just finished explaining now. Well, let me go over it again.
Okay.
Now, in the two different branches that we had, at the point in our master branch, we had this particular code, right? Just I don't want to do a Ctrl Z again. We had, let's just imagine that this is our code. On line 12, we have this line, this line, this line, and this line in one particular branch. Let me split my screen. This is not actually how will I put it? Let me just put text to here. I'm just trying to explain this stuff here. It doesn't mean that this is how it is. So wait. Okay. So let me copy this here. So I'm going to delete this guy first of all. I will delete everything here. Here, okay. Now here I'm going to delete everything here. Okay, so look at these two different files I have here. If you can see my screen, I have info.txt on one and info2.txt, but that's not really what I want you to see. What I want you to see is, imagine that this is herbivorous branch, or this is the current state of our master branch after merging our herbivorous changes into the master branch. This is the current state. Now this on the right hand side, on the left hand side is the current state of our master branch. On the right hand side is the current state of our omnivorous branch. Now if you compare the two of them, line 10 here has herbivorous animals, line 10 here has omnivorous animals, line 11 here has goats, line 11 here has human, line 12 here has sheep. You get where I'm going to with this? Line 12 here has bears. Now I'm trying to merge these changes into this particular branch, which is our master branch. In this our assumption, this assumption that we are making. How is Git going to know what is going to be on this line? Because all these parts we have above here, they are both the same thing. Like from line 1 to line 9 are all the same. But when we get to line 10, like, it's very different. Herbivorous, omnivorous, goat, human, sheep, bears, cow, fish. Git does not know how to solve it. So we have a conflict. Git has a conflict because it doesn't know how to solve this issue. Like, this is an issue. This is war. You understand? Rajo. Hello, can you hear me? My internet has gone off.
Yes, I can hear
The
you.
internet has not
It's okay,
connected.
it's okay.
Okay. So you understand that it doesn't know which part to pick, because if it's going to do it the way you expect it to do it, then we are supposed to have herbivorous animal, omnivorous animal on the same line, goat and human on the same line, sheep and bears on the same line, and cow and fish on the same line. So that's a conflict, and the only way Git can solve it is to throw it back to you that we have a conflict here. When you try to do the Git merge, it tells you that there's a conflict, and that's why you see that particular stuff here. I hope it will still show. Okay, that's why you see this here. This is Git's way of telling you that there's a conflict. It's going to show you something like this, and then you will see that funny message we had down there. I hope I've not taken it away. Okay, yeah, you see this particular message. You see this message, number one. You will see your code, your VS code looking like this, number two. Once you see these colors here, and it's asking you which type of change to accept, then you should know that there's a merge conflict, because it doesn't know how to arrange the stuff for you. You are the one that knows the changes that you need. You are the one that know if you need the omnivorous animals here, or if you need the herbivorous animals here, or if you need the both of them. Now, for me to solve it, I need to come into the file and edit it manually. If I need to take away everything here, I can take it away. That's me solving the merge conflict. That might be my own way of solving it. If I don't need the two changes here, I take away everything. If I need both changes, then I come here, I edit this. I remove everything that I don't need. That's basically what I just did here. I just took away everything that I don't need. If I don't need the herbivorous animal, I'll take it away too. And then the conflict is solved. I do a git add and I do a git commit. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's it. That's all for today. I didn't even know it would take this long, but we are where we are. All right. Thank you all for joining me. I think we'll be taking something else tomorrow, but still on Git. I just want us to have like a very solid foundation on Git because we are going to be using it a lot. I want us to be like up to date on it before we go ahead. There are a lot of things we're using it to do. So,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
all right. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So I think tomorrow we have
Are we
another
done for
class
today?
again. Yes, we are done.
Namaste.
We are done for today.
Okay.
Yes. Bienvenue.
Okay.
Tomorrow.